fulfillment was about to be brought to an abrupt halt.
Die Reihe der Panzerkampfwagen reißt nicht ab.
On May the 10th, 1940, German troops invaded the Low Countries and swept into France. Like millions of others across Europe, Noor's life was to change irrevocably.
Nun rücken über dieselben Straßen deutsche Truppen in Paris ein.
On June the 14th, the invading German army reached Paris. Because Noor and her family had British passports, they were forced to leave their beloved Fazl Manzil, the House of Blessings. Along with thousands of other refugees, the family struggled west via Tours, eventually reaching Bordeaux, where they hoped to catch a ship to England. Hidayat, Noor's youngest brother, had decided to stay in France with his wife and young family.
We didn't feel that that was the last meeting. Otherwise it might have been unbearable.
Noor and the rest of the family managed to get on board the last boat of British refugees. And on the morning of June the 22nd, their ship docked at the Cornish port of Falmouth. Having reached the relative safety of England, Noor and her younger brother, Vilayat, decided to join the British fight against the Nazis.
One thing was very clear: their philosophical background did not allow them to kill anyone. So if they were going to help in the war, they could do anything, even if it was dangerous, so long as they wouldn't have to fire a gun.
Vilayat joined the Royal Navy, working on minesweepers, while Noor joined the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, the WAAF, to be trained as a wireless operator, choosing the name Nora Baker to better fit into her new British life. 2 years later, in 1942, Noor, now a leading aircraftswoman, was approached and invited for an interview. The invitation came from the innocuously named Inter-Services Research Bureau. In fact, it came from this building in Baker Street, the headquarters of SOE.
Noor Inayat Khan got into SOE through the fact that she had noted down on joining the WAAFs that she had perfect French. And some clerk in the air military going through the records spotted perfect French and reported it to the intelligence branch just in case they were interested. And she was interviewed in London by Selwyn Jepson, the novelist. And he, on one look at her, knew she would do. He told me once that, as a rule, he had made up his mind in the first quarter of a minute whether a candidate was going to be any good or not, and very seldom made a mistake.
The application form said simply,
"Agent in the field after training."
Noor had reservations, but she wrote back,
"I shall therefore accept gratefully the privilege of carrying out the work you suggested. I feel as though I may be of some use, so long as the work is purely operational."
She knew it was a dangerous job before she took it on. Right at their initial interview, Jepson said to her, "You realize if you take this on, you're putting your life on the line. I'm putting your life on the line. It's about evens whether you come back." Nevertheless, she persevered because she thought it was worth doing.
On the 29th of February 1943, Noor embarked on 3 months of intensive training as a secret agent. She was taught how to survive in enemy territory, how to use weapons and explosives, and how to resist interrogation and torture. The Morse code skills that she had learnt in the Air Force made her the ideal candidate for a wireless operator. She would send encrypted messages back to London. This was the most dangerous role in SOE, with a life expectancy of just 6 weeks. Noor's file at the National Archives reveals that her training did not go well, although some reports were positive.
A person for whom I have the greatest admiration. Extremely conscientious.
Others were truly damning. One report describes her as
Emotional,
and having a
vivid imagination,
another of her being
highly temperamental,
she was viewed as
clumsy,
and that she was
pretty scared of weapons.
There was a report from the training section that described Noor as not overburdened with brains, in the margin of which Maurice Buckmaster, the head of F section, penciled a furious note, "We don't want them overburdened with brains."
However, there was a more damning assessment further down.
She has an unstable and temperamental personality, and it's very doubtful whether she's really suited to work in the field.
Despite these reservations, Noor was told to prepare for a mission to France.
She'd more or less finished her course. Certainly her Morse had finished, as I remember it. And she was ready to go, and there wasn't anybody else. What do you do?
She was a fully trained wireless operator. The SOE was desperately short of fully trained wireless operators, without which it couldn't work. So the case for sending her overweighed the case against sending her.
The final steps in turning Noor into a spy were put into place. She was given a false identity, Jeanne-Marie Régnier. Her wireless call sign was to be Nurse, her code name, Madeleine. Preparations were underway. Noor would be dropped behind enemy lines at the next full moon period, when visibility was at its greatest.
It was the programme of the full moon that you worked for sending your aircraft, for sending personnel, and then it had to have a message which would be broadcast on the BBC the night before to say when the operation was to take place.
Bush House in central London. It was from here that the BBC's French service broadcast a coded message, a message personnel, to alert local agents that Madeleine was arriving the following evening.
Ici, Londres. Voici notre 8e bulletin d'information au cours duquel vous entendrez quelques messages personnels. La guerre aérienne.
As a final gesture, Noor was promoted to the rank of Assistant Section Officer in the WAAF, for which she would be paid £350 a year.
You will not be required to wear a uniform, and no grant in respect of outfit allowance will be payable to you.
These bland words hid the reality that working undercover in civilian clothes affords no protection under the Geneva Convention, and that if she were caught, she would most likely be shot.
Do I think they were right to send her? How can I tell? I thank God it was never my responsibility.
Just before she left, Noor wrote to her brother, but gave no details about her new role.
Brother, dearest, nothing could have infuriated me more than to leave without seeing you. Maybe we will meet someday, somewhere, somehow. Duty can pull us apart to the ends of the world, but it can only strengthen ties, and brother is dearer than ever. We'll carry on, old boy. Wish me luck.
On the night of the 16th of June, 1943, along with fellow SOE agent Diana Rowden, Noor was secretly flown from Tangmere in Sussex to an isolated field in the Loire Valley. She was already in extreme danger.
She arrived, eventually, by Lysander, not knowing that the man who organised the Lysander operations was a double agent.
The double agent who met her aircraft was Henri Dericourt. His actions would have devastating effects on the SOE network in France.
He didn't betray Noor, but he didn't take any particular steps to make sure that she was all right. She used such sense as she had to make sure that she wasn't tracked, and got away, apparently untraced, to Paris.
Si
tu reviens.